Hi everyone, I'm Andrei, product manager here at PredictHQ. Let's take a look at demand surges, what they are, how to identify them, and potentially even how to use them. To this end, we prepared our very own Jupyter notebook, which you can find either linked in this blog post or alternatively on our documentation website. That's docs.predicthq.com. Now, let's jump into the notebook. Here you can see I have the notebook open. I have chosen to open it up in Google Colab, but you may run it in any environment capable of executing Jupyter notebooks, such as Jupyter Lab. So, what are demand surges? Demand surges are unusual increases in daily event impact for a given location for a given date range. We define unusual increases by taking daily attendance and flagging any days in which that attendance value is higher than 5 standard deviations from the mean. We chose this number, 5 standard deviations, because we wanted demand surges to reflect the truly unique and rare occurrences where a confluence of events may lead to a surge in demand patterns. That said, if you have any thoughts on this, or perhaps a different interpretation of what demand surges may mean to you, feel free to send us your feedback. We'd like to hear from you. So let's get started with running this notebook. Firstly, you'll want to get set up and install any dependencies. You'll see I'm running this in Colab, so I uncommented the relevant code block. If you're running this locally, just follow the instructions in this section here. You'll also need your API access token. Grab one from the website if you haven't got one already, and it's entered here. I've actually blanked my one out after already running this notebook. Next up, you'll need the date range and location for which to scan for any demand surges. In this example, I picked the fourth quarter of 2021, and my location is the entire city of Chicago. Please note the date format for this notebook is year, month, day. Also, I have chosen 90 days here for the date range for which to scan. It says 89 here, but the actual date is 90 because it includes day 0. So it counts the first day of your date range as day 0, counting up from that. Hence, 89 is actually 90. For locations, you can use either a place ID or a geopoint and radius on the map. Place ID lets you scan entire geographic regions, such as entire cities or states. You can use our Places API, or alternatively, you can use this optional section right here in our notebook in order to find the correct place ID and enter it here. On the other hand, a latitude longitude search lets you narrow down on a specific place on the globe and to set up a radius such as 5 miles in order to search for events around that point. This is great for finding events and surges around a particular store or hotel, for example. Now that we have that set up, we can go ahead and run the entire notebook. Like I already said, I've already ran this entire notebook, so we can just scroll down and see the results. When we scroll down past some code, the first thing we'll see is a map showing our chosen location. If a radius was defined, it'll show that also. And this map is simply to get a visual indication that your location is correct, and if not, to go back and change the parameters. In this case, it's correct, so let's keep going. We'll scroll down past some more code, but the important thing is that next up, we will see a chart displaying category and total daily attendance for the time period. If any surges have been identified, they'll be highlighted on the chart as we can see right here. So this particular spike is highlighted. We can see that October the 10th has a huge spike in attendance, primarily caused by sports events. So now that a surge has been identified, let's take a look at the events that contribute to the surge. Scrolling down to the very last section of this notebook takes us to a list of the top 10 events by attendance on the day of that surge. In this case, it was the Chicago Marathon, returning after a long period of lockdown, which understandably brought in some very large crowds. Additionally, we have a couple of sports events and concerts, which contribute significantly to the footfall. You can use this in your own forecasts and dashboards in order to identify and react to potential upcoming demand spikes. Before we finish here, I want to show you how you can quickly switch this notebook to a latitude longitude search. This is ideal if we want to check for demand surges near one of our locations of interest, say one of our stores or hotels. And to do that, it's really easy. So easy, in fact, I'm going to do it live. So first of all, we have to replace the place ID parameter with lat long. Let's go ahead and do that. Secondly, we need to have a latitude and longitude combination in mind. So let's go ahead and pick one. The easiest way to do it is actually to go into Google Maps and get the exact coordinates from the map. I picked here Nashville because it's a nice medium-sized city, and this is just to illustrate that you don't need a huge metropolitan area like Chicago, San Francisco, etc., in order for this notebook to work. It works with localities of any size or shape. So let's go ahead and pick a coordinate here, and we are going to be plopping it into the notebook. So latitude first, I'm just gonna paste what I got from Google. Latitude next, again paste. Radius, so this defines the radius of the search that we're going to be doing. This extends out from the midpoint, which is what we have defined as the latitude and the longitude. And now we define the radius of the circle going outwards from those coordinates. Let's go ahead and pick something reasonable, like 3, and always define your units of measurement. We're going to go with miles this time, although the notebook does support kilometers, miles, and meters. Don't forget your quotation marks when entering units of measurement. And that's it. Let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. It's now running, scrolling down past all the code. We can see our location here on the map alongside the radius, which we now have. If we keep scrolling down, we can see in this chart that we actually have detected 2 fairly significant surges for this location. One on January the 29th and the next one on February the 26th. So let's take a look at what these surges consist of. Again, we scroll down all the way to the very bottom of the notebook, and we can see here the main events, the top 10 events, if available, that constitute the surges. So for the first one, the one on the 29th of March, or was it January? The 29th of January. We can see that there's 2 monster truck events, one kind of the afternoon event and the other one the evening event. So those are 2 separate events. And we have a bunch of basketball games, performing arts, etc., and so on with the next identified surge day. So that was how to switch the demand surge notebook from a place ID search to a lat long search. Again, both of these use cases kind of cater to different outcomes. You'd want to use place ID when you want to look at entire cities at once or entire states, large, semi-arbitrary geographic areas, while you may use a lat long search if you want to really narrow down on a particular location of interest, be it your store or any other place of business you may be interested in finding the context of events and demand surges that may be happening next to it.